Hi. So I've been talking for last several videos about the genetics, the Darwinian theory of evolution, and how the gene mutation can affect the outcomes of the health in human beings. I've also been trying to question some of the reasoning behind the gene mutation and bringing it down to the law of karma. So I think I've done enough on that particular side of gene mutation part and trying to tie it to the law of karma. But I thought for the completion's sake, I will do this video where I'm going to talk about free will and law of karma. So we have talked about free will in the past, and we have talked about law of karma also in the past. And the two things together, trying to get them together to explain, I'm going to talk about it. So as I mentioned in my several lectures, those of you have listened to the lectures know what is law of karma. Law of karma is every action that I do or anybody does, whether it is physical or mental, will affect or leave an impression. That impression will lead to a desire, desire will lead to an action. This is circle of mind. But this particular impression is stored beyond this physical body, and it is carried from one birth to another birth. And our future lives are based on whatever actions that we have done and left with the impressions. The relationships, the desires, the lust that we have in present life are carried forward to another life. And that's how our future life is affected. So it's like you may have $1 million in the bank, you may have a house, you may have jewelry, you may have expensive car, or you have CDs or even bitcoins, but you don't take them to a store when you want to buy a loaf of bread, or you don't go to a shop to buy, say, a dress or clothes or eat in a restaurant. You take only certain part of your assets with you. So it is like going out of house with certain cash, maybe plastic, in your pocket that you take to do the shopping. That's our present life. So we have a limited access to the cash when we are outside our house. Even though my house may be $1 million, I don't have an access to that $1 million. So I have to work on what I have in my wallet. Again, we talk about master charge cards and everything else, but still we have limits. I mean, my charge card may have a limit of 10,000, 5,000, 20,000. But certainly if I want to buy a house, which is 800,000, I can't use my charge card. So what I'm saying is that this is how we are born with certain cash of the karmas that are going to be effective or I have to determine the present life. Now, added to that is day-to-day activity, day-to-day actions, day-to-day desires, day-to-day relationships, and day-to-day accumulation of all of this. Some of these are accumulated to be popping back in the future life, this particular life. Some of them will come very quickly, and some of them would be stored to be brought back in the next life. That is the concept of law of karma. Now, how does a free will set into this? If I am told that I'm born with certain karmas which are going to come to fruition in this life, which simply means that I have no free will in this life, isn't it? So if a certain situation is going to happen, let's say I'm going to be attracted to an alcohol, or I'm going to be a musician, but mediocre musician, how will my free will determine my present life? And if I have no free will, and in my entire life is simply determined by pre-existing condition, the pre-existing karmas, pre-existing seeds that we have sowed in previous lives that are coming to fruition in this life, how am I responsible for anything that I do? This is a question which has been asked and posed many times. And the answer is the cycle does not end. Cycle will not end. Cycle never started. This is like a Mario's game, the video game, where the screen never ends. So even at the end of this universe, we are all going to be locked into a singularity with all the karmas and desires and lust and seeds which have not come to fruition or sprouted. And when the new cycle of the universe will start, we will be again coming out of it, starting the new life and another life and another life. So the free will, we have it, will affect our action. So let's take, for example, a four-way or four-lane highway. The direction is decided, and I can change the lane. I may be in position to take exit, but the direction in which I'm driving is predetermined by previous karmas. So certain things or situations are going to come to in my life, but how do I react with these conditions is entirely up to me, though it is predetermined to some extent because of my nature being predetermined. If I am born as an angry person, I might take an action by hitting someone in a situation which another person in the same situation may walk away without saying a word. In another situation, we can control how we're going to react to a situation, and that is a free will. So the situation is predetermined to some extent, but how we act is not predetermined. It is predetermined by our nature, which is done through our karmas. But we certainly have a choice to change. If you look at several celebrities, you will know this. For Indians, people know Lord Buddha. He was born as a prince, but he decided to become prophet. King Ashoka, many years ago, I think something like 600 century or 800 century, he was winning and he was conquering the places and countries. And then he got fed up and he decided to accept Buddha and non-violence. And there are several other examples. In Indian culture, certainly there are. Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana, he was a thief. He was looting people, killing people. Then one day his eyes opened and he changed. So there is a free will. But if I can give an example of what exactly the free will is, which is not absolutely free, but it is still free will, it's like a dog with a leash. The dog with a leash has a free will to move up to the length of the leash, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. But beyond that, he does not have a freedom. But he certainly has a freedom to move in that short or long perimeter. So he is tied to a pole with a leash, but he certainly can move 2 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, or 20 feet, which may be the maximum length of a leash, but he can't go beyond that. But he can move from the pole to the 20 feet. That's the free will. Whether he wants to do that or not, it's his freedom. But does he have a freedom to run away completely from the pole? No. Now this pole and the leash is determined by the karma. So the perimeter of our free will, the amount of freedom that we have to act, is to some extent determined by karmas. But we can certainly break the leash and run away. But that happens rarely. So this is the limitation of free will, directed by karma, controlled by karma to some extent, but still has a free will. Thank you for watching. If you like it, please subscribe. Have a nice day.